my darlings, I hope you're doing very, very well. I hope you are sitting comfortably, you are cozy, and you have your snacks and your beverages at the ready. In today's video, we're going to do something a teeny little bit different. It is still tattoo related in some capacity, but I really wanted to deep dive into this topic that I've seen take over my social media pages as of lately. And that is how one of the most popular alternative fashion brands, KILLSTAR, who used to be the brand for goths, punks, emos, the heavily tattooed, and all sorts of other alternative people of all ethnicities and sizes, to now being slowly distanced far from that. And now we have the creeping return of conservative aesthetics in an alternative brand, and also a lack of diversity also. And all of this has not gone unnoticed by its loyal fans. Again, like I said, this whole situation has taken over my social media, mainly threads. I've come across a lot of people talk about how KILLSTAR have made a huge shift as of lately, and I just wanted to look into it, and I did put out a poll on my Instagram stories just to see if anyone would be interested in a video like this, and a big portion of people said yes. So I'm here to just talk about, you know, alternative fashion and alternativeness, and I don't know, yeah, tattoos kind of fall into that, and I will discuss the tattoo side of things later on in this video, of course, because I am a tattoo related channel, so I thought I'd try and keep it on theme. But I don't know, like, fashion is something that interests me. I'm not like a huge fashionista. I don't pay too much attention to the fashion world per se. I have like a couple of favorite designer brands, Alexander McQueen, Vivienne Westwood are my two faves, always have been for a very, very long time kind of thing. But other than that, you know, I just buy clothes because I like them, and I don't particularly have a style as such. I just wear what I like and what's comfortable to me. I can't ever say I can categorize myself as, you know, a strict emo or a strict goth. Like, to my family, I am a goth, right? But I know every single goth watching this right now is just dying, right? Like, because you can tell from a mile away that I'm not a authentic goth, right? Like, I like wearing a lot of black, and I dye my hair black, and that's about it. I'm not goth by any means, right? But to my family, I'm a raging goth. That's because they are not alternative at all. I am the most alternative person in my family, which is quite scary if you think about it, because I'm not that alternative. Like, yes, I have a lot of tattoos, but that's basically where it stops, right? Yeah, anyway. But I would like to know how you categorize yourself, if you do categorize yourself. Are you an emo or a goth, or like, what is your fashion sense? Do sound off down below. Anyway, let's get into today's video. So, KILLSTAR is a UK-based brand founded in 2010. The brand started off catered to alt fashion, mainly casual, everyday wearable gothic clothes and alt clothing, and of course some more elaborate pieces. KILLSTAR are known for their very creative accessories, especially their handbags. Many a time I have been tempted to buy one of their skull bags just because they look so freaking cool, alongside some of their other bags. However, I do like to buy bags that are a little bit more practical, and bags that are going to last me a long time. Yeah, like, I might like something in the moment again. I mean, I've liked the KILLSTAR skull bags for a very long time at this point now. I feel like I'll eventually get bored of it, so I've never bought one for myself. I was also raised by a single mum who literally held onto her handbags and her boots for decades. Like, so that's like really rubbed off on me, and I am very, very cautious as to what type of clothes or accessories I buy. I'm not one to feed into the whole like fast fashion thing. Like, I do buy clothes from like ASOS and Boohoo and places like that, which again is pretty much fast fashion, right? But when I buy something, I have it for like many years. Alongside bags, KILLSTAR do jewellery, home accessories and shoes. They also have their own makeup brand called Coven, and they do like eyeshadows and lipsticks and stuff like that. You know, pretty cool stuff, to be honest with you. It does look pretty good. They also have another sub-brand called KILLSTAR, and this is where they do gothic inspired basic clothes. So they've got a lot of like black plain t-shirts and jumpers and cardigans and stuff like that. Something a little bit more subtle than their regular clothing. They also have this collectible plushie brand called Creatures, where they make pretty unique plushies, keeping in theme to their aesthetics. KILLSTAR also have a kids clothes line too called Baby Bat, which I won't lie, these clothes are adorable. adorable, and if I was procreate inclined, I'd be a sucker for them. However, I am not, so no baby back clothes for me. So KILLSTAR have been around for 15 years, and within those 15 years, they have done a lot of collaborations. They've done collaborations with films and musicians and other pop culture brands or entities, whatever you'd like to call them. At the moment on their website, KILLSTAR have collaborations with Alchemy, Adventure Time, Ice 9 Kills, The Exorcist, The Wizard of Oz, Corpse Bride, The Powerpuff Girls, Gremlins, Beetlejuice, Chucky, and Gloomy Bear. KILLSTAR really took off after launching, and it became a favourite among many alternative people, as it was very easy and accessible to get your hands on some alternative clothing from KILLSTAR. If you are an alternative person, you'll know that 15-ish years ago or before that, it was incredibly hard to buy alternative clothing. Like, there wasn't much of a market for it unless you went to special boutiques or to some markets, or you would just make your own alternative clothing yourself. You would buy plain, boring, standard clothes and then jazz it up yourself and do some DIY. That's pretty much how goth and alternative fashion began. I mean, most fashion begins like that, but a lot of goth alternative fashion is or was very DIY. But then brands like KILLSTAR did come along and made it very easy and accessible to get alternative looking clothing, and you just, you know, made your order. A few days later it turned up. You didn't have to spend hours and hours and hours creating things and stabbing yourself with needles and getting dye everywhere and bleach everywhere and, you know, stabbing yourself with studs. And oh my gosh, many years ago I did try and make my own like alternative clothes. Not actual clothes, but I would DIY, you know, jackets. I would put loads of studs on jackets and stuff like that, and oh my god, it took so much time and it was such a mess, and I was always like accidentally cutting myself. And oh, yeah, so obviously when KILLSTAR come along, it's just like, oh thank god, I don't have to do that anymore, you know. And KILLSTAR were very lucky in their launch time, because KILLSTAR basically come along just before the social media boom. And they really got lucky with the whole social media marketing and influencers promoting their brand, and that just helped them grow and grow and grow over the years. KILLSTAR really honed in on inclusivity over the years. They weren't super inclusive to start off with, you know, like, yeah, they definitely went with the whole cookie cutter alternative goth models kind of to start off with. But with the body positive movement that happened on social media over the years, they really banked in on that and were like, you know what, we're going to be an alternative brand that, you know, promotes alternative people from all walks of life. So they use models of all different ethnicities and all different shapes and sizes, petite to, you know, plus size models and stuff like that. They really did do the most with that, and it was honestly so nice to see. And they obviously also hired a lot of tattooed models as well, because they are an alternative brand. So seeing a lot of tattooed models was very nice, honestly. Like, looking through their website, because they took this route, this really grew their cult following, and they had so many different fans from all walks of life. Once again, as a lot of old people felt included, they felt like they could support KILLSTAR because, well, they supported them, you know. Like, it's nice to see representation of your body shape or your skin color when you're shopping, and that really helped them again become so incredibly successful. You can look at a lot of other alternative brands and they go for the, you know, cookie cutter goth person, which is someone that's very pale, very slim, and that's about it, really. You know, you don't really see much representation other than that. So again, KILLSTAR did a great job with, you know, representation. And like I just said, because they took these steps, they become incredibly successful. They ended up shipping pretty much worldwide. There is a list of the countries that they don't ship to. So there is quite a few countries that they don't ship to, but other than that, they do ship to a lot of places. I tried to look into how much KILLSTAR is actually worth, or how much they make each year, and I couldn't find any concrete factual proof of that or anything. I found one website called Grojo that says that the estimated revenue for KILLSTAR is 28.7 million a year. Now, I don't know if that's true. That could be an overestimate, or that could be an underestimate. I could imagine that might be pretty accurate, maybe. I don't know. Because again, KILLSTAR is very popular, and their clothes are quite expensive. So it's very, very possible that that is how much it makes each year. For me personally, I've only ever ordered from KILLSTAR a handful of times because, like I just said, the clothing from KILLSTAR is quite expensive. I feel like some of it is definitely justified because, you know, you can't find anything that is even close to what they sell. But some of their like more basic clothes that you could get from ASOS for like 20 quid, KILLSTAR are selling it for like 40 or 50, even 60 quid. You know, it's just a basic black jumper. And I once fell for the basic black jumper from KILLSTAR and I still have it. I haven't got rid of it. But I know I could have got it from ASOS for like 20 or 30 quid. But I think I spent 50 quid on this jumper or something. Oh God. But it definitely did grab me because it was like on an alternative website and the model looked really cool. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'll buy that instead. Yeah, I have frequented on the KILLSTAR website a lot over the past 15 years or so, and I just like to take a look at and see what they're, you know, selling. But yeah, KILLSTAR definitely do bank on the fact that you are not going to find clothing like theirs elsewhere. Again, on places like ASOS, like yes, you'll find the basic stuff on places like ASOS, but you're not going to find the cool and funky blazers or the cool and gothic coats and stuff like that. Like you're just not going to find that on ASOS. So KILLSTAR are very aware of this and they will up their prices so much because again, you're going to struggle finding clothes like you can on KILLSTAR anywhere else. And of course there is other places that you can buy alternative or gothic clothing. A lot of people do buy from places like Shein, which is not something I would do personally, but how you feel about Shein, it's up to you. We don't need to go down that route on this video, but of course you can also buy secondhand KILLSTAR items from places like Vinted and Depop, eBay, wherever you feel like buying your secondhand clothes, which is obviously very, very good for, you know, the whole fast fashion thing. Like if you're against fast fashion, it is obviously best to buy secondhand, so you're kind of reusing something instead of it going into a landfill or what have you. KILLSTAR have always done their marketing so cleverly by dropping new collections quite quickly. There's always something new on their website and sometimes there's a whole new collection. They drop a lot of clothes at once. Some of the KILLSTAR stuff does sell out pretty quickly and I feel like they have limited sizes, so people like panic buy because, oh God, if you don't buy it then, oh no, what the hell, like I don't have this new outfit that is kind of cool for the Instagram posts, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, this whole like panic buy sensation from KILLSTAR kind of just again adds on to this whole fast fashion and overconsumption issue that I'm sure we are all aware of. There's been a few times where I've gone to buy something from KILLSTAR and my size hasn't been there. It's only been up on the website for like 2 days, if not less. And I feel like that's done on purpose. It's not like Supreme or anything like that where there's like God, where there's people like queuing outside the door or what have you. I also feel like social media marketing has helped them a lot, like I said earlier, and also just so many content creators buy from KILLSTAR and then upload, you know, get ready with me or here's my KILLSTAR haul video, stuff like that, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I watch them myself. I'm a sucker for them. But that also adds to this whole, like, you have to keep buying from KILLSTAR and other brands as well. It's not just KILLSTAR, of course, but yeah, it's just never ending. It's just never ending. You don't need to own so many items from KILLSTAR, you know, like it's kind of crazy, but that's just capitalism, I guess. I don't know. So like I mentioned a moment ago, KILLSTAR's whole MO was being inclusive for a very, very long time. They were very, very heavy on using all types of alternative models throughout their listings on their website for their clothes and products and accessories and what have you. Like they use an array of different models. That was until not too long ago, and this is why I'm making this video, because it is so incredibly shocking to see an alternative brand fall down the trap of, you know, not being so alternative anymore, especially as it is an alternative brand. So a lot of the loyal fans of KILLSTAR and people that have been buying from KILLSTAR for a very, very long time have noticed this shift within the way KILLSTAR are running their website now. People have noticed a huge lack of diversity among their models. They've also noticed that their clothes that were once very fun and funky and very alternative have kind of become, well, subdued and just meh. Sure, some of them do have a little bit of an alternative flair to them, but compared to what KILLSTAR used to be, it's just like, what is going on here? So here's some of the posts that I've collected over the past couple of weeks or so when I started to notice and be fed a lot of content about how KILLSTAR is like changing their ways. So one said, KILLSTAR, not a fan of the removing of tattooed alt models. We liked you guys because of the representation. Another person said, KILLSTAR, where did all your female alt models go and why does it look like I'm viewing ASOS in dark mode? KILLSTAR slowly swapping all of their alternative tattooed models for very clean cut models with natural makeup is something I didn't expect to see with the rise of conservatism. You can literally see evidence of what these people are saying on their website still. Here we have a side-by-side comparison of what KILLSTAR models and stock look like now on the left side with the new in section, and then on the right I have the sales section, and I sorted it oldest to newest so we can see some of the older stock, and you can see a huge difference in the clothing and the models. With the older stock there is much more diversity, and well, the new stock, wow, it's a completely different vibe. The majority of the models are your average models that you would see on ASOS, but their makeup is just a bit more darker in the color scheme, kind of vampy makeup, I guess. And even then that's pushing it because some of the other models aren't even close to that. There's hardly any diversity in body shapes, tattoos, well, they're gone. There's one or two models with some tattoos, but heavily tattooed. Nope, no chance. There's like none of that anymore. The clothes go from fun and playful and creative, which is what KILLSTAR was known for. Their clothes had a no fucks given kind of vibe to them, and now it's almost just professional, clean-cut corporate with a little edge, if you want to call it that. It is very much giving corporate goth, which is a very, very big trend at the moment on social media. Is a lot of alternative people trying to dress alternative for their corporate, professional, grown-up jobs. You know, it's giving that, and I feel like KILLSTAR has definitely kind of played into that. KILLSTAR now, though, is miles different to what it was just a mere couple of years ago. The plus size section of the website is also very worrying. The majority of the models shown aren't even plus sized. And while I get that it's because some of the clothes there come in an array of other sizes, I don't think it would hurt to show clothes on plus size models too on the product pages. It truly doesn't take much effort to have, I don't know, 3 different size models in one photo shoot. You know, you take pictures of one model, okay, off you go, leave. Another model of a different size, okay, great, take some photos, leave. And then another model comes in, photos, leave. It may take a bit more time than using just one model for one cardigan, but to see a representation of, you know, 3 different sizes, and of course we don't come in just 3 different sizes, but just to have a bit of variety would be so nice to see. And KILLSTAR used to do that, and there's just, it's not there anymore. And yeah, the whole website just has had such a overhaul, and it just looks so different to what it did a couple of years ago. There is little remnants of how KILLSTAR used to be on their website. If you scroll to the bottom, they have this subscribe to emails and you get 10% off thing. And they have the join the weirdos, and they were very heavy on the "we are the weirdos, mister," which is a line or a quote from the film The Craft. I actually have that quote tattooed on me, but they were very heavy on we're weird, we're alternative, we're different, and we're so proud of that. And that message just isn't on their website anymore unless you really deep dive into like their older stock. And it's just, yeah, this whole like join the weirdos situation just doesn't fit who they are now. So it probably won't be long until this has changed, right? They probably forgot this was even there. Another thing that people have noticed is the fact that KILLSTAR now looks a lot like another alternative fashion brand called Disturbia. So Disturbia is a more whimsy alternative fashion brand. They're not heavy on gothic clothes or anything like that. It's more cutesy. It's like cutesy alternative clothes. They have a lot of patterned clothing, a lot of really cute dresses and blazers and suits and tops and stuff like that. So again, they're not super alternative, but like, yeah, I don't know how else to describe Disturbia other than like whimsical. I think that's the best way to describe it. Or like gothic whimsical, maybe, or dark whimsical. But they're not as gothic as KILLSTAR or as alternative as KILLSTAR, but they have little elements, okay? So again, I come across a few posts about this. What is happening with KILLSTAR? The tattooed models are gone and everything looks like copies of Disturbia products from like 2 years ago. I'm very invested in the entire KILLSTAR versus Disturbia case and what is happening with KILLSTAR itself at the moment. As someone who works and has worked for both companies plus employed for one of them, there's so many questions coming up about what's going on. Something is definitely off. And there's a reply that says KILLSTAR's employees are dropping like flies. The changes they are making are weird as hell, dropping all of their alternative tattooed female models but keeping the males. Plus sizes seem to be more hidden on site and less represented again. Products are almost direct copies of Disturbia. Even social media posts and designs are similar to theirs. And then I come across this post that says KILLSTAR acquired a designer from Disturbia, that's why. Disturbia has always been hit or miss, and I have KILLSTAR bags and dresses from 6+ years ago and they're in great condition. Bought a bag a few years ago and it's lasted 6 months. So that was another complaint that I come across quite a lot, is the fact that KILLSTAR's quality has gone downhill a lot. Like a lot. And again, as someone that hasn't bought from them too much, I can't really say it. I've noticed a difference. Again, I've made a couple of orders, and again, the jumper, the expensive black jumper that I bought many years ago, it's still going. It's still completely fine. So that's something, I guess. But I feel like there's like a consensus that KILLSTAR has definitely fallen down the fast fashion route, and the quality has, you know, gone downhill. So then there is another post that I found that says Disturbia, gotta be kidding, right? £50 for 14% cotton. And someone replied saying the problem particularly with today's KILLSTAR and Disturbia is that they were sold onto big businessmen for a profit. The quality drastically decreased in both around 2018, 2019. Fabric is now all cheap polyester type stuff that's printed onto, but upcharged to ridiculous degree. Disturbia be out here charging near £50 for a tartan printed pattern on a mostly plastic dress. It's really sad because I love these brands. As someone that loves tartan things, I can't even tell you how much tartan stuff I own. It's a lot. Mainly like pajamas and stuff, I won't lie, but still. I know what they mean by tartan being printed onto clothing instead of the fabric actually being tartan pattern. Does that make sense? And that is so disappointing because there's been a few times I've ordered something that I thought was tartan, but it ended up being like a print of tartan or check or whatever. And I've been like, ew, no, I thought it was like actual, you know, tartan, please. This is when I took a look at the KILLSTAR and Disturbia website, and I couldn't believe how similar they look. Can we just look at this? Like, what the hell? Again, if you are someone that has frequented on the KILLSTAR website, you will be like, what the hell? What is going on here? They both look so freaking identical. Again, KILLSTAR was very fun, playful, gothic, alternative clothes, and Disturbia has always been, again, whimsy, gothic kind of clothes, or alternative, you know, kind of cutesy and what have you. But they do look very, very similar. It really is kind of upsetting to see this because we don't need another Disturbia. We already have Disturbia. We don't need another Disturbia, so why KILLSTAR has gone down this route, I don't know. Why would you want to be the same as another brand? Like, it's just not going to go well for you. That's what really set KILLSTAR apart, is that they were different. They were, you know, again, inclusive with different sizes, different types of models. But now KILLSTAR has sort of leaned into the whole Disturbia motive, which with Disturbia, they've been cutting, I wouldn't really call them, well, they're not inclusive per se. Like they hire alternative models from time to time, but they're not like super, you know, inclusive. Yeah, it's very shocking to see KILLSTAR go down the same path that Disturbia has always been on. Disturbia has always been not that inclusive, and KILLSTAR has taken that path. It's just bizarre. There is other grievances with KILLSTAR. I come across a few posts about that. So one person said KILLSTAR was never goth. They borrowed goth aesthetics while stealing designs from smaller designers, slapping a premium price tag on Shein quality shit. It's just darker clothing for normies. Goth is not a brand. I think the majority of very big alternative fashion brands have a past or a history of stealing artwork or designs from smaller creatives. I don't know if there's any big fashion brands out there that haven't been accused of doing this at some point in their lifetime of being open or what have you. But it's just very disappointing and sad to see. You should not be stealing anything from anybody. Like, come up with your own ideas, please and thank you. Again, with the whole premium price tag thing, I've covered that, and I do agree with it. Some of their stuff is so freaking expensive. No, KILLSTAR has gone full Shein, at least quality wise, and some of the collabs are copy pasted designs with a different print. KILLSTAR has always been dog shit fast fashion design stealing corporate fake goth grifter, and has been called out for racism multiple times. You really can't be too shocked. They're not counterculture in any way, shape or form. They only care about money. Who is shopping KILLSTAR? Support small businesses. Fast fashion will never give a fuck about us. Check out Foxblood. And now with the recent discourse of how KILLSTAR is moving away from alternative models and vibes, people are kind of like saying, no, I'm not going to buy from them anymore. I'm boycotting them kind of thing. So one person said, I'm not buying from KILLSTAR anymore. I'm not supporting the mainstream changes. I liked it better when KILLSTAR stood for models of all kinds. They used to stand for so much and now they suck. So we're all agreed that we're boycotting KILLSTAR, yeah? Honestly, there's always a boatload of their stuff available on Vinted and Depop anyway. If you like their stuff, you don't have to buy direct from them. I mean, that is true. I have been on Vinted and I have seen so much stuff from KILLSTAR, so much, and some of it is like brand new or only been worn once. And again, it's the whole I have to buy this from KILLSTAR, otherwise if I don't buy it now my size is gonna go and I need this kind of thing. And it's just so heartbreaking because it ends up again on places like Vinted, Depop, eBay, wherever, and it's just like, oh gosh. We need to be more mindful of how much we're buying, people, you know, like I don't want to be like, oh, you can't buy from KILLSTAR anymore, or you can't buy this, that, and you do what you want, right? You do what you want. But we have got to, as a whole, as a worldwide society, stop overbuying. I think we can maybe all agree on that, maybe. I feel like some people are going to disagree with me on that for sure, but yeah, we've just got to be a bit more mindful because it's just not good. Again, you don't need 70,000 items from KILLSTAR. You just don't need it. What's weird to me is KILLSTAR's social media is pretty diverse. I mean, could it be more diverse? Absolutely. However, there are a lot more alternative people showcased on their social media than on their website. So what the hell has happened here? How have we got here? How have KILLSTAR succumbed to the trend that is being more conservative and less diverse? You'd hope that a brand like KILLSTAR would rebel against it all, considering they built up a cult following of alternative people who, for the most part, want absolutely nothing to do with conforming to the rest of the world. This would be a perfect time to be loud and proud about being alternative, considering the world is so incredibly loud about being conservative at this moment in time. A lot of people are celebrating conservative lifestyles, you know, we've got the whole clean girl aesthetic thing and just blending in with the crowd. Being beige, I guess, is the best way to call it, you know, like that's what everyone is going for at this precise moment in time. But KILLSTAR's website is just giving meh. You know, like the contrast between their website and their social media pages. It's just like, what is going on here? I know a big portion of alternative people do prefer to support small businesses and stay away from fast fashion businesses like KILLSTAR. However, I think we can all maybe agree on the fact that seeing a big brand like KILLSTAR, who again was very, very loud and proud about being alternative and being different and being inclusive to all walks of life, has become a fallen soldier to this whole conservatism bullshit that we're seeing as of lately. Like, you may not like KILLSTAR or agree with what they've done in the past, and you know, you may have grievances with them for whatever reason, but it's still kind of worrying to see, you know, a big name within the alt world just follow trends and become a bit more cookie cutter. You know, it's kind of like, oh God, you know, like if they're gonna succumb to this type of thing, like there's no hope for us, right? But maybe that's all KILLSTAR have ever been. There was a thread that I read out earlier about the fact that KILLSTAR have never been truly goth. They've just kind of rid the wave of what's popular and trendy at the moment, and that's what they're doing now. You know, being alternative, being different in a world that is heading down the conservative route is not going to be profitable for them anymore, maybe. At the end of the day, KILLSTAR is just a big brand. They need to make money to keep on going, so sure, they're probably going to cater to those that want to also fall down the trap of being a little bit more muted with their alternativeness. But that's not what being alternative is. Being alternative is about not conforming to what the majority of the world is doing. It's being who you are and being proud of it. It's standing up for diversity and being inclusive. It's about accepting and protecting those that don't have a voice right now, or, you know, are facing discrimination and hatred. It's not riding the popularity wave by any means. Being alternative it's a way of life. And if you are like following trends right now or trying to fit in with what's going on in the world right now, are you truly alternative? Are you maybe just a poser? I can't even begin to tell you the amount of people that have shocked me within the past year or so. And I don't want to make this video like mega political by any means. I'm trying to stay away from that because it's just like, it's all we hear and see at this moment in time. I know for a lot of people watching YouTube videos is an escapism from what's going on in the world right now, so I don't want to like talk about it too much or anything, but yeah, there's been so many alternative people that I've followed and admired and respected over the years, and then to see them post the most heinous, hateful shit, and I'm just like, but you're claiming to be alternative and you're out here being so disgusting, so hateful. It's just such poser behavior to me. Like, in my opinion, and I know some people will agree with me, I know some people will disagree with me, but to me, being alternative and being conservative at the same time, it's not, nope. Chalk and cheese, all right? Like oil and water. Do you know anything about alternative history? Because if you did, you wouldn't be the way you are, or you wouldn't vote the way you have been voting, you know? Like, I fully stand by the whole, you can't be punk or goth or alternative and be conservative or a far right meathead. I will die on that hill, but you can agree or disagree with me. It depends how much you know about alternative lifestyles and the history of it. So, should I be shocked that a multi-million-dollar company is riding the popularity wave? No. No, I really shouldn't. Should I? I shouldn't be shocked, because that's just the way business is done nowadays, right? Like, no business really has any core values unless, again, you do shop small, if you support small creatives. As I am a tattoo related channel, I do want to touch upon the whole tattoo side of things for a hot minute. As we may all be aware, there is a lack of representation for tattooed models. It's always been that way, and yes, sure, some designers do dabble in hiring tattooed models, but that's because they're going for a certain look within a fashion show or a campaign. But for the most part, designers do tend to stay away from alternative looking people or tattooed people because, you know, in their eyes, it may be a distraction to the clothes that they are trying to sell or the products that they're trying to sell, or it may make the clothes or the accessories look more alternative than what they actually are, and that just isn't what the brand is about. That isn't their MO, which, okay, fair enough, I do understand that, but it's kind of wild to me that the fashion industry or any industry hasn't caught up to the fact that tattoos are very, very popular. 1 in 4 people have tattoos now, if not 1 in 3, depending on where you live. Of course, it would be a lot less in smaller villages, but if you live in a major city, there's a lot of tattooed people there. So with that, you'd hope there would be a lot more representation for tattooed people, right? So to see a brand like KILLSTAR, who would normally hire tattooed models, whether that is models that have a handful of tattoos, you know, a few arm ones, a few leg ones here and there, or some, you know, heavily tattooed models that have, you know, elaborate neck pieces, hand tattoos, some face tattoos, full bodysuits and what have you, to move away from that and, you know, hire models that don't have any tattoos or only have a very small portion of tattoos, it kind of sucks. That's one thing I did like about KILLSTAR, is the fact that you could go onto their website and you could see tattooed models in a fashion space, you know? It was nice to see that, just to have, you know, a little bit of representation and what have you. I also like to see what their clothes look like on tattooed skin. And I don't ever buy clothes to fit around my tattoos. I just buy clothes because I like them. I don't really care how much of my tattoos are showing or how little of my tattoos are showing. If I like something, I'm gonna buy it. But it was nice to see they're more like sheer clothing on tattooed skin, so like a netted top or a lace top, just to see how much tattoo does poke out and how much you can see. I don't know, I just liked seeing that. And the fact that that isn't really a thing anymore, it's just like, oh, okay. Cool. The lack of representation for tattooed models really is like the bottom of the list when it comes to needing more representation of people, especially, you know, all different types of skin tones, shapes and sizes, and disabilities as well. Like, God, how many websites and fashion brands websites do you go on and you do not see anyone with disabilities or anything like that? Like, that is another thing that we need to focus on, of course. But yeah, I will say again that it was very, very nice to go onto a fashion website to see tattooed models, because it's just not something you see on your everyday websites. Again, like ASOS, Boohoo, or what have you. Like, a model might have a little wrist tattoo, if that. There's plenty of male models that are covered in tattoos, that's fine. There's no short supply of those. They're on ASOS, they're on Boohoo, they're everywhere, right? But women with tattoos, oh, yeah. That's going. It's going, because one of the main brands that were very, very, woo, we love tattooed models, is now very much, oh, yeah, no, fuck women with tattoos. We're not having those on our website anymore. Like, what the hell? Anyway, that is it for today's video. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on this topic. Are you yourself kind of pissed off at the fact that one of the biggest alternative fashion brands are like, alternative people, no, we don't want them anymore? Or are you just like, whatever, I don't care, I'll still buy from them, I'll still support them because I still like their clothes? Or you kind of like, oh no, this has really, really annoyed me, and you are choosing to maybe not support them anymore, or you're going to see what happens? Because again, a few people have been talking about this online, and I'm hoping and praying that the people behind KILLSTAR are aware of what people think about this whole thing that they're doing right now, and they're gonna make some changes. However, there is a chance that they care more about money and want to ride the what's in fashion or what's cool at the moment trend, because that's where the money is. So it'll be interesting to see if they care more about money or their loyal fans that have been buying from them for years and years and years. It'll be interesting to see where, you know, where KILLSTAR is in, you know, a few months time, 6 months time, see what is, you know, happening with them and, well, the world. Because fuck knows, like, oh god, yeah, I mean, everything's just falling to shit, isn't it? Anyway, my darlings, that is it for today's video. I just want to say thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me for a little while, and yeah, that's it. So until my next one, stay safe, stay well, and until my next video, bye.